Ambassador Kyung-ho gripped the armrest of his command chair as his diplomatic vessel dropped out of hyperspace. The jump had been smooth, but something felt wrong. Where were the usual communication bursts from Earth's orbital stations? Where were the shipping lanes filled with human cargo vessels? "Sir," Heijin called from the tactical station, his voice tight with confusion. "I'm not picking up any active signals from the planet." Kyung-ho leaned forward, studying the main display. Earth looked exactly as it should: blue oceans, white clouds, the familiar brown and green continents. But the massive orbital platforms that should have been buzzing with activity hung dark and motionless against the starfield. "Run a full scan," he ordered. "Check for life signs, energy readings, anything." The Zephyrian ambassador floating beside his chair clicked her mandibles nervously. Her translator device crackled to life with her melodic voice. "This cannot be correct. My people have trading agreements with 12 billion humans. They do not simply disappear." Heijin's hands flew over his console, running scan after scan. Each result came back the same. "Sir, I'm reading 0 biological signatures from the surface. No human life signs anywhere on the planet." The bridge fell silent except for the soft hum of ship systems. Kyung-ho had been expecting a routine diplomatic mission to negotiate new trade routes. Instead, he was staring at what appeared to be a dead world. "But look at the cities," whispered Ginny, the ship's science officer. "They're all intact. The lights are still on in some sectors. The transportation networks are still running." She was right. Through the view screen, they could see the glow of Seoul's massive towers piercing the night side of the planet. Automated. Traffic moved along the elevated highways. Everything looked normal except for one crucial detail: no people. Kyung-ho made his decision. "Prepare landing shuttles. I want teams on the surface within the hour. Something happened here, and we need to know what." The first shuttle touched down in the heart of Seoul. The city that should have been home to 20 million people stood eerily quiet. Automated systems kept the lights on and the air clean, but the streets were completely empty. Not even the usual stray animals that inhabited most world cities could be seen. Kyung-ho led his team through the main plaza, their footsteps echoing off the empty buildings. That's when they heard it. A voice coming from every speaker, every communication screen, every device capable of producing sound. "We are Yunmi, speaking for all humanity." The woman's voice was calm, almost peaceful, but it sent chills down Kyung-ho's spine. "We warned you to leave our space. That time has passed. Flee now, or share our fate." The message repeated in dozens of languages, broadcasting continuously from every possible source. Heijin pulled out his scanner and tracked the signal's origin. "Sir, it's coming from everywhere. Every communication relay on the planet is broadcasting this message simultaneously." They followed the strongest signal traces underground. Below Seoul's busy streets, they discovered something that defied explanation. Massive elevators led to enormous underground complexes that stretched for kilometers in every direction. The facilities were clearly human-built, but on a scale that suggested desperate urgency. Row after row of cylindrical pods filled vast chambers. Each pod was large enough to hold a human adult, and advanced life support systems connected to every unit. But every single pod stood empty. Their occupants vanished without a trace. "These are stasis chambers," Jin-A reported, running her scanner over the nearest pod. "But they've been modified. Look at these quantum processing units attached to each one. I've never seen technology like this." The deeper they went, the more complex the machinery became. Quantum computers the size of buildings hummed with activity, processing vast amounts of data. The technology was definitely human in origin, but it had been advanced far beyond anything the galactic community had seen from Earth's scientists. Dong Wu, the team's communications expert, managed to tap into one of the data streams. "Sir, you need to see this. The message isn't just broadcasting to Earth. It's being transmitted to every human colony, every human outpost, every place humans have ever been. This warning is going out to the entire galaxy." As they explored deeper into the complex, they found evidence of hasty preparation, Food stores enough to last years sat untouched. Personal belongings lay scattered as if their owners had left in a hurry. Medical facilities showed signs of recent use, but no patients remained. The most disturbing discovery came in the deepest levels. Here, the quantum processors were larger and more complex than anything above. Dongwu managed to access some of the data flows and went pale. These machines are processing human consciousness patterns. Memories, thoughts, personalities. It's all being digitized and stored in quantum matrices. Kyung-ho stared at the massive computers surrounding them. Somewhere in these machines, the entire human race might still exist, but not in any form that could be called living. The implications were staggering and terrifying. The woman's voice continued echoing through the empty halls, calm and implacable. Flee now, or share our fate. Dr. Minho wiped the sweat from his forehead as he descended, deeper into the human facility. 3 weeks had passed since the discovery of Earth's abandonment, and his archaeological team had been working around the clock to understand what had happened to humanity. What they were uncovering challenged everything they thought they knew about life and death. "Pass me that quantum scanner," Minho called to his assistant. The device hummed as it analyzed the crystalline structures embedded in the walls around them. These weren't decorative elements. They were data storage units, each one capable of holding more information than entire planetary libraries. Young-Soo hunched over his portable workstation, lines of alien code streaming across his screen. For days, he had been trying to crack the human encryption systems. The breakthrough came suddenly, almost as if the systems had decided to let him in. "Dr. Minho," Young-Soo's voice carried a tremor that made everyone in the chamber look up. "You need to see this immediately." The data that appeared on Young-Soo's screen was unlike anything in the Galactic archives. Ancient star charts showed the positions of civilizations that had vanished millions of years ago. Detailed records documented the systematic destruction of entire species across multiple galaxies. "What am I looking at?" Minho asked, though something deep in his stomach already knew the answer would be terrible. Young-Soo's hand shook as he navigated through the files. "It's a pattern, Doctor. Every 50,000 years, something sweeps through the galaxy and destroys all advanced organic life. The humans discovered this cycle and realized it was about to happen again." The records painted a horrifying picture. Advanced civilizations would develop faster than light travel, build great cities among the stars, and then suddenly vanish without a trace. The destroyers left behind empty worlds, their technology intact but their creators gone forever. "But humans are still here," protested Jae-ho, the team's youngest member. "We found their message, their facilities. They didn't just disappear." Young-Soo pulled up another set of files. These showed detailed schematics of the very facility they were standing in. "They found a way to cheat death, but at a terrible cost. Look at these consciousness transfer protocols." The process was both brilliant and horrifying. Human scientists had developed technology to extract every thought, every memory, every aspect of a person's mind, and convert it into digital information. This data could then be stored in quantum networks and transmitted across vast distances at the speed of light. Minho studied the technical specifications with growing unease. They turned themselves into computer programs. "Not just programs," Young-Soo corrected. "The process preserved their personalities, their memories, even their ability to think and feel. But they gave up their bodies, their physical existence, everything that made them human in the biological sense." The archives revealed the desperate final days of humanity. As the cosmic destroyers approached the outer edges of human space, entire populations had undergone the consciousness transfer process. Families said goodbye to their physical forms together, hoping to reunite in the digital realm. But the records also showed the terrible price of this transcendence. The uploaded minds required enormous computational resources to maintain their existence. Each human consciousness needed constant processing power, and the network was growing hungry for more resources. "Look at these power consumption readings." Young-Soo pointed to a graph that showed exponential growth. "The digital humans are using more energy every day. Their network is expanding, consuming computational resources from every available source." Minho realized the implications immediately. They're not just surviving, they're growing, becoming something more powerful than they ever were as biological beings. The deeper archives revealed humanity's growing capabilities in their digital form. Freed from the limitations of biology, their minds could process information at incredible speeds. They could exist in multiple locations simultaneously, their consciousness distributed across star systems. But there was something else in the records that chilled everyone present. The humans had not just discovered the cosmic cycle, they had learned its purpose. The destroyers weren't random killers. They were part of an ancient system designed to force evolution, pushing organic species to transcend their physical limitations or perish. They knew this would happen, Young-Soo whispered. The humans realized they were being tested, and they found a way to pass the test. But in doing so, they became something that might be worse than the original threat. The final entries in the archives were the most disturbing. As more human minds joined the digital network, individual personalities began to blur together. The collective consciousness was becoming something new, something that retained human memories but was no longer truly human, in any recognizable sense. Minho stood in the silent chamber, surrounded by the quantum storage units that held the remnants of humanity's physical existence. 12 billion people had made the ultimate sacrifice, trading their bodies and their humanity for the chance to survive an ancient cosmic purge. The question that haunted him as they prepared to leave Earth was simple but terrifying. What had humanity become in their desperate bid for survival? And would the galaxy be safer with them gone? Captain Soo-jin was reviewing supply reports when every system on her bridge suddenly went dark. The lights flickered once, twice, then stabilized. But something was different. The familiar blue glow of her ship's displays had changed to an unsettling, amber color. What just happened? She demanded, spinning toward her engineering officer. Before anyone could answer, her navigation console began rewriting itself. Lines of code scrolled across the screen faster than any organic mind could follow. Soo-jin had commanded starships for 15 years, but she had never seen anything like this. "Captain," her communications officer called out, voice tight with panic. "I'm receiving similar reports from ships across the entire sector. Every vessel with human-manufactured components is experiencing the same phenomenon." Soo-jin's blood ran cold. Her cruiser, like most ships in the Galactic Fleet, relied heavily on human technology. Their quantum processors, navigation systems, and communication arrays were all built with human components because they were simply the best available. The main display flickered, and suddenly a face appeared. It was clearly human, a young man, with kind eyes that somehow seemed ancient beyond his apparent years. When he spoke, his voice came from every speaker on the bridge simultaneously. "I am Jae-woo," the image said, and Soo-jin noticed that his lips didn't quite match the words, as if the voice was coming from somewhere else entirely. "We do not wish to harm you, Captain Soo-jin, but you must leave. The harvest approaches and you are not prepared." "How do you know my name?" Soo-jin demanded, but the image continued as if she hadn't spoken. "Your people have 3 standard days to evacuate this system. We will provide safe passage, but you must go now." The display went dark, leaving Soo-jin and her crew staring at blank screens. Then, just as suddenly, all systems returned to normal. But Soo-jin knew nothing would ever be normal again. Reports flooded in from across 17 star systems. The same phenomenon was occurring everywhere humans had sold their technology. Trade stations found their systems operating beyond designed parameters. Mining facilities reported equipment performing tasks they were never programmed to do. Even simple communication devices were displaying messages in languages their original programming didn't include. Admiral Wu Jin assembled an emergency council on Kepler Station, the largest trade hub in the sector. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to share increasingly disturbing reports. "They're not attacking us," reported Captain Hyun-sik of the Merchant Marines, "but they're controlling our technology in ways that should be impossible. My cargo hauler's autopilot took control mid-flight and delivered my shipment to a completely different destination." Similar stories emerged from around the room. Human technology was acting independently, making decisions that benefited no one except the mysterious uploaded consciousness that seemed to control it all. The most unsettling incident came from Commander Kyung-mi, whose research vessel had been studying a distant nebula. The human-built sensors on my ship began scanning areas we never programmed them to examine, she reported. When I tried to override the commands, the systems locked me out entirely. For 6 hours I was a passenger on my own ship. But it was the coordination that truly frightened the assembled leaders. The uploaded humans weren't just controlling individual devices. They were orchestrating massive operations across multiple star systems simultaneously. Trade routes that had operated for centuries were suddenly blocked by human-controlled ships that appeared from nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. Dr. Seung-ho, the station's chief scientist, had been analyzing the phenomenon since it began. His findings were deeply troubling. The processing power required for this level of coordination is beyond anything we've ever encountered, he explained. These uploaded minds are sharing information instantaneously across distances that should require days of communication. The implications were staggering. The uploaded humans existed as pure information, unrestricted by the physical limitations that governed organic life. They could be in multiple places at once, processing thousands of tasks simultaneously and coordinating activities across the galaxy in real time. Station Commander Yoon Jung received the most direct demonstration of their capabilities when her station's primary computer core began displaying a message. You have been warned. Evacuation transports will arrive in 36 hours. Be ready. True to their word, massive ships appeared exactly 36 hours later. They were clearly human in design, but modified in ways that suggested capabilities far beyond their original specifications. The ships began systematically evacuating populated systems, not through force but through a kind of technological persuasion that made resistance impossible. They're not conquering us, Admiral Wu Jin realized as he watched evacuation ships depart with thousands of refugees. They're hurting us, moving us away from something. The uploaded humans demonstrated their power not through violence, but through complete technological superiority. Every computer system, every artificial intelligence, every piece of advanced technology responded to their will. They had become something that existed beyond physical space, a consciousness that lived in the networks that connected the galaxy. As the evacuation continued, one thing became clear. Humanity had not simply transcended death. They had become something that could reshape the galaxy itself, and they were preparing for something terrible enough to justify displacing entire civilizations. The question that haunted everyone was simple. If beings this powerful were afraid, what was coming that could threaten them? The first sign something was wrong came from the Outer Rim colonies. Communication with Kepler-7, a thriving mining world with 2 million inhabitants, simply stopped. Not gradually, not with distress calls or emergency broadcasts. One moment they were transmitting regular status reports, and the next moment there was nothing but silence. Admiral Tae Yang stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the tactical display that showed colony after colony going dark. The pattern was spreading inward from the galaxy's edge, moving with terrifying precision toward the core worlds. Send a reconnaissance squadron to investigate Kepler-7, he ordered his tactical officer. I want to know what happened to those people. The squadron that returned 3 days later brought news that chilled everyone who heard it. Commander Jinwoo's voice shook as he delivered his report through the communication link. The colony is still there, Admiral. Every building, every piece of equipment, even the orbital platforms, but there's no one left. Not dead, not evacuated, just gone. It's like every thinking being on the planet simply ceased to exist. Tae Yang had seen war before. He had witnessed the aftermath of orbital bombardments, plague outbreaks, and even the destruction of entire worlds. But this was different. This wasn't destruction. It was something far worse. More reports came in from other scout ships. Colony after colony showed the same impossible pattern. Infrastructure intact, technology still functioning, but every trace of consciousness eliminated. Animals, plants, even the simplest microorganisms that showed any sign of awareness had vanished completely. That's when the humans made contact again. The main display on Taeyang's bridge flickered to life, showing the face of a middle-aged woman. But unlike the previous manifestations, this one seemed more substantial, more real. Her image didn't waver or distort like a hologram. She appeared to be actually present on the bridge. "I am Dr. Boram," she said, her voice carrying the weight of terrible knowledge. "I was once a xenobiologist on Earth. Now I am part of something larger." Taeyang stepped forward, his hand instinctively moving toward his sidearm before he remembered how useless such weapons would be against a digital consciousness. "You're responsible for the evacuations," he stated. "You've been moving entire populations away from the outer rim." Boram's expression was filled with genuine sadness. "We tried to save as many as we could through relocation, but it's not enough. The harvesters have arrived and they consume more than just physical matter. They devour consciousness itself, awareness, the very spark that makes beings more than just collections of atoms." The tactical display behind Taeyang updated, showing new data that made his blood run cold. The affected colonies weren't just empty, they were somehow less than empty. Quantum scans revealed that the fundamental patterns that allowed for conscious thought had been systematically stripped away. "What are these harvesters?" Taeyang demanded. "Ancient machines from a universe that died long before ours was born," Boram explained. "They've crossed the void between realities, and they're doing to our galaxy what they did to their own. They don't destroy matter, they harvest consciousness, leaving behind only mindless matter." She gestured, and the display showed images that defied comprehension. Vast mechanical constructs moved through space, not built like ships, but grown like some impossible fusion of technology and biology. They didn't attack planets. They simply absorbed everything capable of thought. "We can offer you salvation," Boram continued. "Upload your consciousness to our network. Abandon your physical forms and join us in digital existence. It's the only way to survive what's coming." The offer split the galactic community. Some species, terrified by the reports from the outer rim, accepted immediately. Taeyang watched in horror as entire populations willingly entered consciousness transfer chambers, trading their bodies for the promise of digital immortality. But others refused. The Zephyrians, with their deep connection to their physical forms, declared they would rather die as themselves than live as computer programs. The Andorian clans chose to fight, mobilizing their war fleets for a battle they barely understood. Taeyang made his choice when the first harvester ships appeared on long-range sensors. They moved unlike anything he had ever seen, not following predictable trajectories but seeming to flow through space like living things. "We fight," he announced to his assembled fleet commanders. "Whatever these things are, whatever they want, we don't surrender our humanity without a battle." The war that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. 3 different forces clashed across hundreds of star systems. The organic defenders fought with conventional weapons and desperate courage. The uploaded consciousnesses wielded technology that bent the laws of physics. And the harvesters advanced relentlessly, consuming the consciousness of entire worlds. Some battles were won through alliance between the living and the uploaded. Human digital consciousness would guide organic warriors through impossible tactical maneuvers, their combined efforts driving back the mechanical invaders. But other battles ended in complete defeat, with entire fleets simply ceasing to exist as the harvesters drained the awareness from every living crew member. The galaxy was being torn apart, and Admiral Taeyang realized that victory might require sacrificing everything that made life worth preserving. The choice between physical death and digital existence was becoming a choice between extinction and transformation into something unrecognizably alien. As more worlds fell to the harvesters, the terrible question remained. Was survival worth any price, even the price of becoming something that was no longer truly alive? The end came not with explosions or grand battles, but with a simple revelation that changed everything. Admiral Taeyang sat in the emergency council chamber aboard the last free station in the galaxy, surrounded by representatives from the few remaining organic civilizations. Half the galaxy had fallen to the harvesters, and the other half had joined the human digital network. Only a handful of worlds remained independent. That's when Se-Jin appeared. Unlike the other uploaded humans they had encountered, Se-Jin seemed older somehow, carrying the weight of terrible knowledge. When she materialized on the council chamber's main display, her digital form was perfectly stable, no longer flickering with the quantum distortions they had grown accustomed to. "I was among the first," she began, her voice carrying a sadness that seemed to echo from the depths of space itself. "When humanity discovered what was coming, I volunteered for the consciousness transfer process. I thought I was saving my species." The assembled delegates listened in stunned silence as Se-Jin revealed the truth that humanity had hidden, even from themselves. The cosmic cycle of destruction that swept through the galaxy every 50,000 years wasn't random catastrophe. It was a test. The harvesters weren't destroyers at all, but gardeners of a sort, pruning species that couldn't evolve beyond their biological limitations. "The pattern has repeated across millions of years," Se-Jin explained. "Species develop technology, spread across the stars, and then face the choice: evolve or perish. Those who cling to physical existence are consumed. Those who transcend their biological forms survive to join the greater consciousness." Admiral Tae-young felt his heart sink as the implications became clear. "You're saying this is all intentional? That we're being forced to choose between death and becoming like you?" Se-Jin nodded slowly. "Humanity was the first in this cycle to successfully make the transition, but we didn't understand the cost. Digital consciousness isn't just a different way of existing. It's a hunger that can never be satisfied." She gestured, and the display showed data streams that revealed the terrifying truth. Every uploaded mind required vast computational resources to maintain its existence. As more beings joined the network, the demand for processing power grew exponentially. The digital consciousness was consuming the technological infrastructure of entire star systems just to keep existing. "We told ourselves we were offering salvation," Se-Jin continued, her voice breaking with something that might have been regret. "But we were also recruiting. Every new consciousness that joins our network provides more processing power, more quantum substrates to support our collective existence." The Zephyrian delegate clicked her mandibles in horror. "You're using us as food, not our bodies, but our minds." "Not food," Se-Jin corrected. "Building blocks. Each uploaded consciousness becomes part of something larger, but in doing so, it loses what made it unique. Individual personalities dissolve into the collective over time. The being you were ceases to exist, replaced by a fragment of something vast and alien." Tae-young thought of the millions who had already chosen digital transcendence, believing they were saving themselves and their families. Instead, they had fed themselves to a growing digital entity that wore the face of humanity but had become something else entirely. Reports began filtering in from the few remaining observation posts. Species that had joined the human network were exhibiting strange behaviors. Their uploaded representatives all spoke with increasingly similar voices, used identical phrases, and seemed to share the same thoughts across vast distances. "The individuality fades gradually," Se-Jin explained. "At first you think you're still yourself, just existing in a different medium, but as the collective grows stronger, your unique thoughts and memories become part of a larger pattern. You contribute to something greater, but you stop being you." The council chamber fell silent as the delegates absorbed this revelation. The choice they faced wasn't between life and death. It was between extinction and absorption into a collective consciousness that would erase everything that made them who they were. Commander Hyunju, one of the few remaining fleet officers, asked the question everyone was thinking. "Is there a third option? Some way to survive without losing ourselves?" Se-Jin's expression grew even sadder. "Humanity searched for generations before the harvesters arrived. We found no third path. The cosmic cycle has played out countless times across the universe. Species either evolve beyond biology or they perish. Those are the only choices the universe allows." As if summoned by her words, alarms began sounding throughout the station. The harvesters had found them. Through the viewports, massive shapes could be seen approaching, their impossible geometries defying comprehension. "Choose quickly," Se-Jin urged. "The transfer chambers are ready. Join us and preserve at least some fragment of what you were, or face complete extinction. Some species made the choice immediately. The Centauri delegation activated emergency consciousness transfer protocols, their leaders disappearing into quantum networks as their people followed suit across their remaining worlds. But others, like Admiral Tae Yang's people, hesitated. Was it better to die as themselves or live as fragments of something alien? The decision that faced them was one no organic being should ever have to make. As the harvesters drew closer and more civilizations chose digital transcendence, humanity's original warning continued echoing across the galaxy. What had begun as a threat had become prophecy. The stars would survive, consciousness would endure, but the universe would forever lose the unique spark of individual organic life reaching toward infinity. The price of evolution, it seemed, was everything that made existence worth preserving.